their family are going to go through some real trials and tribulations. They're going to call them all kind of names. But their target is all of us. If we cannot focus and do what the Lord requires of us, we'll be right back here again. Let me say this in closing. The policies of this country cannot go unchallenged. We cannot have aggressive policing of low-level crimes and can't deal with the higher level. Something strange that you can get all these guns into the hood, but you run around chasing folks selling Lucy cigarettes and walking in the middle of the street. There's something crazy about that kind of policing. Well, their policemen are human. Yes, they are. But they also have a different kind of commitment. Because once you put on that state badge and that gun that is state backed up, you cannot react like another citizen. You're supposed to be trained above that. And we should expect that in our community like they get it in any other community. No community in America would tolerate an 18-year-old boy laying in the street 4.5 hours, and we're not going to tolerate it either. Whatever happened, the value of this boy's life must be answered by somebody. I want to say to the family, you got some difficult days. Won't be long for the crowds to be gone. These cameras will go on to another story. But I want you to know that there is a God. A God I'm told Michael believed in. That'll be with you when everybody else is gone. And he requires of you to believe in him. And if you trust him, he'll give you strength that you didn't know you had. There's a God that sits high. And he ain't looking at no good bishops and pontiffs up here. God loves those that love mercy and do justice and walk humbly before him. God will make a way. God will guide your feet. How do I know? Because he's done it for me. The challenge from here is that you must be committed that for whatever reason, God chose you and chose Michael. Michael's gone on to get his rest now. We're required in his name to change the country. I sat and thought about this, Bishop Jakes, and thought about where and what was the meaning of all of this. As I was sitting in the room here in St. Louis last week, getting ready to go to the Unity rally, I was trying to figure out what made sense, Attorney Crump. And I couldn't figure it out. There were violence they reporting in Ferguson. There was peace rallies. Some of the preachers was mad that some of the other preachers was in town. Some of the leaders mad about the other leaders. All this backstabbing and backbiting. More folk worried about getting on the program than developing a program. Yeah! Yeah! But Leslie, I remembered an old preacher told me a story that tied it together for me. He said, Al, I was reading a novel one night. He said, the more I read, the more I couldn't put it down, the more intense it got. He said to me, Michael, he said, it was time for me to go to bed, and I had to preach early in the morning. It was a Saturday night. He said, but I couldn't put it down because I had to deal with the plot of the story, and I couldn't figure the plot out. He said, I looked at the clock. It was 12 midnight. And I wanted to put it down, but I couldn't figure out the plot. He said, I looked again and it got 1 in the morning. I knew I had to get up early to preach. He said, so Al, I cheated. I turned to the end of the book. And I saw how the story ended. And that's how I got my rest. I want you to know, Michael Sr., I want you to know, Leslie, I cheated. I sat up in the hotel and took out my Bible. And I turned to the end of the book.
Yes.
I don't know how long the investigation will be. I don't know how long the journey will be. But I know how this story going to end. The first will be last. The last will be first. The lion and the lamb going to lay down together. And God will make a way for his children. I've been to the end of the book. Justice is going to come. Justice is going to come. Justice going to come.
Yes, sir.
Before we go forward, I want to break in the program and do something special. I want a special prayer for this family. Special prayer for the nation. And a special prayer for our young people. We have so many prominent people. Will all the members of Congress stand? I know we're going to hear from Clay. But I see Maxine Waters, Yvette Clark, Hank Johnson. Al Green ain't the singer now. That's Congressman Al Green. Senator McCaskill. Oh, that's Hartford from Las Vegas. And Clay's going to, I just want them, I want to call 3 ministers to do quick prayer. Now, I want you to pray to God now, not congregation. I done the eulogy. I want to do this real special for the family and the nation. But I want you to know that we have Broderick Johnson stand up representing President Obama. This is Secretary to the Cabinet. And he's here, Heather Foster.
How do you make life online better?